Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's your host, Raul Infante, here with Taking Dish Sports, and my co-host, Hugo Dominguez.
Hey, how's it going, Raul? I'm happy to be here.
Good. Hey, so we're going to start it off with Fight Night 146 on March 9, 2019. The first fight that we're going to cover is Rocco Martin versus Moraes. Second one, Bosch versus Akhmedov. Third one, Darius versus Dober. Fourth one, Price versus Means. Millender versus Dos Santos. And the main event, Lewis versus Dos Santos.
Man, what a great card last night. A lot of stand-up brawls, but a real good night for jiu-jitsu, too.
Hey, man, it is what it is. We had a great night, just like you said. So here we go. We're going to kick it off with Rocco Martin versus Moraes. Again, I spoke about Moraes before, him being a bad fighter. I'm going to say it again. He's a bad fighter. Juice, go ahead and kick it off and tell me what you thought about this fight.
Oh, what a great fight. What a great strategy by Rocco Martin. He started with the calf kicks early. Moraes tried to take down early in the round, ends up on bottom, trying to get the guillotine. Didn't really work for him. But Rocco, he continues with the calf kicks. What he does is takes away Moraes' mobility, and then he starts moving throughout the fight. He's moving backwards. You could even see Moraes get visibly frustrated in the second round. He asks Rocco Martin to come to the middle because he got frustrated with his movement. He couldn't move anymore because of the calf kicks.
Absolutely, and not only the mobility, you also got to think about the power. Moraes is very front heavy when he's striking, and if you notice, Moraes the entire fight, what he was doing was throwing that looping left hook with the right hook following after. So he was extremely predictable. Having that calf kick there available really provided a stability for a game plan throughout the fight for Rocco Martin. So shout out to him for doing a great job following that game plan.
Yeah, great job by Rocco. I see his UFC going good in the future.
Absolutely, and keep the victories going. So we're gonna go ahead and move it on to Bosch versus Akhmedov. The first thing I want to say is, Bosch, thank you for all the years that you gave us. The UFC and the fans absolutely appreciate everything that you've done.
Yeah, it's real sad that Tim Bosch is done. He's done fighting. It's kind of sad too the way he went out, unfortunately.
Absolutely. So, I thought Bosch was going to be able to come out and retire with a W, but unfortunately, he wasn't able to do that. You could see that he's a little bit slower. He kept getting countered over and over in the fights. There was a lot of moments in that fight where he could have easily been on the bad end of a counter shot or be on the good end of a counter shot. But let's go ahead and cover that fight.
Yeah, great fight by Agamemnov. He did a good job. This is another fight where mobility was the key here. He kept moving. He breaks Bosch's nose, I think, in the second round.
Yes.
And from then, it was his fight the whole time. He just kept moving back, picking his shots, and he didn't overcommit even when he had Bosch hurt. He didn't overcommit because Tim Bosch, after all these years, he's very dangerous. If you overcommit on him, you can end up getting knocked out at any second. Absolutely.
The first two rounds, if you notice, these two guys respected each other's powers. They were sizing each other up the first two rounds until the second round when Bosch's nose was broken. But if you notice, the one thing about Bosch that stuck out to me in this fight was that Bosch was following his opponent. What he should have been doing was cutting off the ring. So every time that he was following his opponent was going to his right. What did he do? He would stop, plant his back leg, and boom, fire straight up the middle. If he was going left, same thing that way. And Bosch was not able to adjust to that. So therefore, he had a bad night. But again, like I said, thank you for all the years. Do you have anything else?
Yeah, Bosch, I think he had one foot out the door. You could tell in this fight. It's his tail end of his career. He's not as good as he used to be. Again, Akhmedov with the movement was perfect. If I remember correctly, the combination was actually a slap to the face and then a straight right to the nose to break it. And great performance by Akhmedov.
Absolutely. So we're going to move on to Darius versus Dober. Juice, take this one.
This fight is great for jiu-jitsu. Like I said, there was a couple fights on this card great for jiu-jitsu. There was a preliminary fight with the triangle, and then we have Dober versus Dariush here. Dariush getting dominated in the beginning of this round by Dober. I thought Dober had this fight hands down from the beginning. I predicted him to win, actually. I didn't see anything from Dariush, and then, he uses his jiu-jitsu, gets the arm bar late in the first round, and that thing looked nasty. Dober's elbow was not looking good. He was right to tap there.
Absolutely. I don't know if it happened in the first round. It might have been in the second round.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, absolutely. Because in the first round, Dober, I thought he was going to also win that fight because if you notice, Darius, he wasn't covering his face. The striking of Dober, and matter of fact, he overpowered him. Darius tried to use his ground game to try to halt Dober's momentum going forward, and especially those muscular guys. You want to try to take them down, get that lactic acid building up, so that way they're slower in the following rounds. He wasn't able to do that because again, Dober was able to overpower him and outstrike him in the first round. So it was a terrible first round, but he was able to come back in the second round and take care of business.
Yeah, you're correct, Raul. It was in the second round because I actually remember something clear here that. Dober wins the first round. They come out in the second round. Darius takes him down, dominates him on top. He uses pressure passing like we do in jiu-jitsu. He keeps getting past his half guard. Dober recovers the half, continues to recover the half, but Darius's jiu-jitsu was just too good with the pressure passing, kept pressure passing, ends up in full mount, and then he gets the rear mount and the rear naked choke. Something that happened here in the second round, Dober, he starts to actually get out on Darius at one point, and this is where he messed up. Instead of getting out, getting away, and going back to the striking, he actually re-engaged in the grappling when he got out and stood up and tried to take Darius down. This is a big mistake by Dober in the second round, now that I remember.
All right, so we're going to move on, and we're going to go to the fight of the night, Price versus Means. In my opinion, this was my favorite fight of the night. These guys came out to slug, and guess what? They performed. They showed the fans that they were there to satisfy everybody in front of their TVs watching this fight. Go ahead, Jules.
Yeah, great fight. So much fun. I mean, Nico Price, the fight before this one, he knocked somebody out from his back. I mean, just an exciting guy to watch. Tim Means has never been knocked out before. We can't say that anymore now.
Absolutely. Price came out and he had an extremely fast start. He was out there. I thought he was going to be able to finish Means in the first round. In the first 30 seconds, he was catching some nasty knees, all kinds of striking. Price is well-rounded, so that put Means in a dangerous situation. But of course, Means, being the veteran that he is, was able to stay composed and keep coming back. And he eventually was able to land his own clean shots and turn around the fight.
Yeah, actually, when Dober got this knockout, Tim Means was sort of taking the end of the round there. He was really getting his shots in. Nico Price was bleeding. And, you didn't think he was going to end the round the way he did. And what a great shot by right hook, actually, by Nico Price.
Absolutely. And maybe it could have been a different outcome if Tim Means wasn't slapping him with the left. Maybe if he would have came out with the hook, he would have created more damage. With 10 seconds left, Nico goes and hits him with the counter right, a shoulder punch, and he was able to connect on Means clean and knock him out. And one thing that people are not talking about, you're going to hear it on Taking Dish Sports. Did you guys see in the slow-mo video, Tim Means actually on his way down was obviously defenseless. He was getting knocked out. He broke his ankle. A lot of people are not recognizing that. Not even the UFC recognized that when we were watching it on the slow-mo. But Tim Means absolutely got double end of the sword because he got knocked out and then also broke his ankle. So he's going to be out for a long span of time.
Yeah, man, when your brain shuts down like that, you're not in control in your body, and too bad his ankle just snapped. That was a good eye by you seeing that last night. I didn't see it right away.
Absolutely. Hey, well, okay, so we're going to move on to Millender versus Dos Santos. In my opinion, this fight was the most disappointing. I saw Curtis Millender as somebody that's not a jiu-jitsu guy.
Yeah, I wasn't disappointed at all.
Okay, so Millender. He's one of those, Michael Venom Page type of guys with a little bit less swag. He comes in, his UFC debut, he goes and destroys Alves. He has that issue that once he hurts a fighter, he tries to do the Mark Hunt thing and walk away. It's not his swag, but he has learned over time. He had a few fights in the UFC, and I believe it was his second fight in the UFC where he got taken down. It was actually not able to recover and get back on his feet. This is a kickboxing guy, so for him to not be able to get on his feet, I knew he was going to have difficulties with a guy that could take him down, and that's where Dos Santos came in and, really exposed him, which was unfortunate because, again, I had him as my pick of the night. Go ahead.
Yeah, both these guys went into this fight with win streaks, both good fighters. Ezekiel Dos Santos went in with a great strategy. As you said, Millender has 3 losses. 2 of those are actually from submissions, from chokes. So great strategy by Dos Santos. Actually, the couple fights before this, Dos Santos uses his striking. He didn't win with jiu-jitsu. So great strategy by him to go out right away, double leg takedown, and get to the choke, finish the fight. You don't want to be standing up with Curtis Millender too long.
Absolutely, and here's the thing about Curtis Millender. Once he was he was on his back, he did exactly the same mistake that Conor McGregor did. You know, he rolled on his back, but who could blame him? Dos Santos had the full mount, and what he tried to do was slip under to avoid the rear naked choke. But you know, Dos Santos is a black belt, just like he stated in his post fight interview, and he was able to adjust and get that rear naked choke.
Beautiful real naked choke with the palm-to-palm grip. He didn't have to do the Monteleon. He still finished it. Great choke, great fight. You love jiu-jitsu, you know. Hey, guys, like, subscribe, comment, show love.
And make sure you hit that bell button for more notifications. So the next thing that we're going to do, we're actually going to cover the heavyweight fights. We know that Dos Santos and Millender was before this fight, but we're going to cover Ivanov versus Rothwell. So we're going to go ahead and start that fight. Juice, start it off, please.
Yeah, great. It's a good fight. A little controversial decision to me. I was high on Ivanov going into this fight. You know, the Bulgarian, he's a gold medalist in Sambo. His only fight in the UFC was against JDS. He lost by decision, but he went 5 rounds with JDS. You know, it was pretty impressive. So I was high on him going into this fight. And Rothwell coming off a almost 3-year hiatus, I didn't think he was going to perform as well as he did.
Absolutely. He must have had a little bit of ring rust. You know, it happens. Again, just like you said, he almost had 3 years outside of the ring. I thought that he landed the bigger shots in the fight. Yeah, they were close in shots connected, as we saw in the stats. But I thought he was able to, dominate the first round and especially finish the fight in an exciting way where, you know, it should have left the judges in a convincing fashion that he actually won that fight. What's your take on that?
Yeah, I agree. I think Rothwell won the fight. First round, it was a little even. I think Ivanov had one more significant strike, but Rothwell's strikes, they did more damage. And I gave him that round also because his ring control, you know, he had Ivanov backing up the whole time. In the second round, I gave that to Ivanov. He's still backing up, but he was actually picking his shots, you know, slipping punches, getting combinations. He cut Rothwell. He was doing good in that round. I gave him that round, but the third round, I thought Rothwell, again, controlled the octagon, had more significant strikes, and I think he dominated the third round. I think he was robbed. I think it was a bad decision by the judges.
It could have gone either or, but hey, it is what it is. It was a close fight. Things happen. We're just looking forward to Rothwell coming back and bouncing back and hopefully getting a victory in the next fight. So we're going to go ahead and move on to the main event of Fight Night 146, which was Derek Lewis against JDS Junior Dos Santos. Go ahead.
What an amazing fight, man. We knew it was going to be a good fight going into this. I mean, both these guys, if I'm correct, JDS has 7 first-round finishes. Derek Lewis has 5 first-round finishes. I mean, right on the Fight Night poster, 18 knockouts and 14 knockouts. We knew this was going to be a stand and bang, brawl, and that's exactly what we got. What a great fight. JDS hit him with that spinning back kick to the liver. What do you think about that? That was a great kick by JDS.
I thought Dos Santos was smart with his game plan. He came on the first round, and what you got to know is that if you watch the tapes of Derek Lewis, what he does in the first round is his most dangerous work. Outside of the first round, he's not as dangerous, he's not as strong because he has issues with his cardio. I know it was mentioned that he worked really hard on improving his cardio for the title fight that he fought last. Unfortunately, he lost against Cormier, but he still was in really good shape for this fight. But what Dos Santos came out with was actually executing at a slower pace, not really slugging it out because he knows that Lewis has that power. So he came out respecting that. So I thought it was a smart thing for him to go with those body shots in the beginning, really use his range as an advantage, even though Lewis has the reach. Lewis came out and had 10 finishes as a heavyweight, which was the most. And with this Dos Santos finish, there's a 3-way tie for the most finishes in that division, Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, after the liver kick, we saw Derek Lewis bend over. You could tell the kick really hurt him. I mean, when I was watching the fight, I thought he almost faked it because he came with that shot when Dos Santos approached him after the liver kick. Before that, they were both throwing bombs. Unfortunately, Derek Lewis had to come out in the second round, throwing bombs, trying to go for broke, trying to knock JDS out because I think his conditioning was done after getting hit to the body like that. He actually said, before the fight that he only trained conditioning. He actually didn't spar before this fight or do any MMA training. He strictly trained conditioning. Still didn't work out for him this time, unfortunately.
Listen, I'm going to tell you one thing. Dos Santos was so fortunate that he wasn't going for the kill with his hands, that he went with that unusual front kick. Because if he doesn't go with the front kick, Lewis was ready to connect clean, and he would have laid him out, and it would have been Lewis, and it would have been a talk that, okay, maybe it was, him faking it out. Fighters would have had a game plan for some weird thing happening like that. But
for Derek Lewis playing possum.
Absolutely, exactly. And if you notice, as soon as Dos Santos threw that kick, Lewis came
his
over
arm
and just
ends up right under Dos Santos' legs. Just a moment of luck there.
Right, and it caused the prevention of landing on the chin, because if not, like we said, it would have been night. So that was the fight right there. And Dos Santos, in his post-fight interview, he talked about being 8th in the heavyweight division. I also disagree with that. I think he should be a lot higher. He had some unfortunate losses. Of course, he has some tough losses. He's fought against the best in the division. So in order to be dropped back that hard, it's unfortunate. So I'm glad that he's in this winning streak, and that he's going to continue fighting the best guys and continuing being active.
Yeah, Dos Santos, he just beat number 3, so he definitely better move up those rankings. He says he wants a title fight next. Unfortunately, I think DC is gonna hold down. He's gonna wait for Brock Lesnar, and we're gonna see that fight in July. Really excited for that.
Well, I'm not, because Brock Lesnar does not deserve that. He should be fighting other guys. So.
Man, he sells fights. If anybody can sell fights, it's Brock Lesnar, man.
Hey, absolutely.
JDS is just gonna have to wait. Maybe he'll fight one more time before he can get a title shot. But yeah, if I'm DC, I'm waiting for that check. Brock Lesnar check.
You know what I think Dos Santos should do? Run it back against Stipe Miocic. He lost. He lost with the Stipe fight, right? Stipe has been asking to fight DC, but he's not going to get that fight, because again, DC is just interested in money fights right now, and possibly running a third fight with John Jones. So if he goes in and they run that back, those two guys, Stipe is ranked number 1 in the heavyweight division. And right now, just like you said, Derek Lewis was ranked 3rd, and Dos Santos just won yesterday. He goes ahead and jumps that spot. If they go and clash together, that makes the perfect scenario for Junior Dos Santos, if he could pull a victory against Stipe Miocic to make that argument of fighting for the title next.
Yeah, and I agree with that 100%, because Stipe, he's been asking for a rematch, but he's been inactive since he lost to DC. We need to see something from him. He lost decisively in the second round by knockout from DC, so that's a great fight for both of them. They both want the belt, so that'd be a good number 1 contender matchup. Especially, Brock Lesnar could fall through. You never know what he's always chasing money. He can fall through and not end up fighting for the UFC again. And if that happens, we need a clear-cut number 1 contender for DC.
All right, well, that does it. That wraps up Fight Night 146. We're going to move on and actually make our predictions to Fight Night 147 in the London card, March 16, 2019. Go ahead, Juice. Yeah,
there's 2 fights we want to talk about this, and we have Dominic Reyes, who's a big up-and-comer. He's fighting Ozdemir. And my prediction for this fight, of course, is I think Reyes is going to continue. I think his momentum is going to continue. He's undefeated. Ozdemir is coming off a loss, 2 losses, DC, and Anthony Smith. He was submitted by Anthony Smith. So I definitely got Reyes in this one. I'm excited to see him perform.
Yeah, absolutely. It's unfortunate that Volkan, has to fight this guy, because he's going to be under the same mental state as Cody Garbrandt, 3 losses in a row, in my opinion. Volkan has fought tough guys. I would have preferred him to fight more of a bounce back type of guy. Dominic Reyes is a well-rounded fighter. He's on his win streak right now, and in my opinion, he has the better cardio of the 2 fighters. That's why I think that Volkan lost against Anthony Smith. They were both gassed in the 3rd round, got submitted. So if he would have taken a lesser fighter, I think it would have done well for him. But so that there, I'll take Dominic Reyes, just like you said. So the next fight that we're gonna be watching is the main event for 147, which is Masvidal versus Till.
This is going to be a great fight. This is a hard one to predict. I'm gonna go with Darren Till here. If he's smart, he can't pull a Cody Garbrandt and get emotional. He can't go in the middle of the cage and just throw bombs. Even though we all know Till loves to have entertaining fights, he cannot do that versus Masvidal, because he's gonna get caught. He needs to keep the distance, just like Stephen Thompson did against Masvidal. He needs to keep the distance, hit his shots, and get out of there. Don't stay inside, and he can win this fight. I think he wins by decision.
Yeah, I think he should make it a boring fight just like he did against Stephen Thompson. Circle around the ring. Don't be stupid with it because, Masvidal is definitely going to be paying attention to that Tyron Woodley fight. As soon as Darren Till came forward, what did Woodley do? He faked like he was circling around. He planted his back leg and bang, he connected. And then that was the end of the fight right there, ultimately, once he got submitted. So Masvidal is very dangerous on the stand-up game. When he was street fighting and then even in the UFC, that's his main thing. He's a guy that wants to come out and bang in the middle of the ring, frustrate him, get him to fight a frustrating fight, and it'll be a victory for Darren Till.
Yeah, that's the key there. If Till can do that, he'll win this fight. Masvidal's wrestling is actually pretty good, but I saw, Darren Till's takedown defense is 88%. So that might not work out for Masvidal either. I think Till keeps the distance, picks his shots, and he can win this fight by decision.
Well, all right. That's the recap for 146 and Fight Night 147. Thank you for tuning in. Taking This Sports. Don't forget, we don't watch these. We analyze these fights.